I'm Ryan Dietrich. I'm the SVP of Retail Media and E-commerce here at Monks, formerly Media Monks. We just rebranded. I am basically in charge of the entire commerce department, where anybody who works on a retail media at all, like that's our team, as well as full service e-commerce support. So stuff from like content to strategy to marketing, we do that, as well as advertising. We also do content.
Mathew Boardman, as Ryan said, I am the director of content. So I have a team of graphic designers and content strategists. Those content strategists combine the roles of an SEO specialist and copywriters. They're both doing the keyword research, planning the keyword strategy, and then incorporating that into the titles, bullet points, product description you'll see on Amazon, Walmart, or other marketplaces. And then my graphic designers are just doing any sort of enhanced content that the marketplaces offer. I've been in the Amazon space for 7 years now. I started at one of the top 5 FBA sellers in the country that did over $1 billion in sales on Amazon. So I got a lot of exposure to pretty much every category. And I've just been riding this Amazon wave the last 7 years.
Prime Day has passed. What was different about this year, and what kind of learnings did you guys have that we might take into the fall and holiday Prime Days?
What we saw was a lot more of our vendor partners, retail partners, even third-party partners discounting. We saw a lot more discount participation. I think in years past, we've had anywhere between 40 to like 33% of our partners and our clients not participating because of their pricing strategy. They just didn't want to be a part of that. That went down dramatically. We saw a lot more units sold as an overall agency this year, but overall OPS was up, just not nearly as much as we were expecting. I think we've actually been in kind of a tough economic time for consumers. And now I think you're seeing retailers and those brands react to that and kind of realize that, look, it's got to be on discount now. For Prime Day 2, more of the same. I think it's just a lot more participation, which is interesting because that's going to mean a lot more competition. We also saw our ad metrics, CPCs, other general metrics up higher than they've ever been by like pretty dramatically, about 20% higher in aggregate. So it was more competitive, and I just expect that trend to continue. It's going to be a bit of a dogfight out there.
And Mathew, what about from a content perspective? What was different this year for Prime Day?
The biggest one was Amazon Rufus. So this is their like AI shopping assistant. It was released as a beta to limited users earlier this year. And then they made it available to everyone, I think on July 12th, so just a few days before Prime Day. So we were really interested to see like what impact does that have to traffic and to searches. And the kind of boring answer is not much. Like it didn't have a huge impact from the data we're looking at, from just pulling it up on our phones and on desktop either. Everything that you would do to normally optimize a listing for SEO, you still do with Rufus. It hasn't changed like the best practices for us. You still want to explain features and benefits. You still want to give examples of the target audience, list use cases, make seasonal keyword updates. So it, more than anything, it's just reinforcing like you need to execute the basics really well. SEO on Amazon is something that is one of those things that's easy to learn, hard to master. And Rufus is just kind of like reinforcing that fact.
What other trends are you just seeing in general, whether it's consumer behavior or whether it's strategies that you're implementing?
I think in consumer behavior, I keep an eye on a lot of macro trends. Younger generation folks, younger generation millennials, Gen Z, they really do invest a lot more in experience than products and then physical things. And so I'm expecting, it to continue to be a challenging environment for selling products at a macro level. That would be like for a brand. I think it's harder. I think you're going to see demand not grow quite as it has been in the last few years. At the same time, I think from an e-commerce lens, that will be offset by the simple fact that the share of in-store continues to move digital, right? And that's been a trend since 1999. As far as other trends, a lot of the aggregators in the space, like the Amazon aggregators, we're seeing, especially the small, like the bigger ones have filed a few of them for bankruptcy. The smaller ones we're seeing go out of business, and seeing kind of like a fire sale with some of those FBA brands that they picked up. And all of that kind of points to me that, one, there was like a level of froth in that FBA area, right? In the aggregators space. And I think a lot of investment groups lost money on that. Two, I think it points to the fact that having a real brand and investing in upper funnel tactics, brand building, right? You need to do that, right? That is the one way on Amazon that you can ensure consistent medium and long-term success. Amazon's doing an awesome job of making tools available, right? So you can now, from the ad console, right? You can run sponsored video. You can run that kind of stuff on streaming TV, right? It's a very accessible price point for any type of brand. As smaller brands are trying to grow, I think they need to invest in that stuff earlier. And now they have the ability to invest in those kinds of upper funnel tactics earlier at a price that makes sense for a smaller brand, which is really cool.
We have a lot of clients that are the market leader for their category. And they've come to us and they've said, hey, our market share is plateauing or eroding. Why? And when we dig into that, one of the commonalities that we're seeing across different categories is they've held a consistent price or even increased their price over the last couple of years, while competitors, especially like new to Amazon brands or brands that are just straight out of China, are coming in with a lower price. And before, they were able to lean into their heritage, lean into we're a well-established, well-known brand. Our price is what it is. Our content is what it is. And that was good enough. And it's no longer being good enough as we see those strains of like groceries are more expensive, gas is more expensive, just rent is more expensive. Everything's gone up. And so now these established market leaders who've been able to kind of maybe over-rely on their legacy, on that heritage, their content was, in some cases, was kind of meh. And as we see these kind of upstart emerging brands come in, people know how to do the Amazon formula really well. We've seen that when we have these market leaders who are losing share, we help them spruce up their content and kind of communicate in a case of both show and tell, why are we still worth this price? Why are we still a premium product? We start to recapture and protect and even grow that market share that they had been losing. So I think price sensitivity is a consumer behavior that we're seeing across the board. And then the response to that is just, you can no longer rely on just a name. Your content really needs to sing to prove that you're still worth that premium price compared to these lower price emerging competitors.
That's really insightful. I think my 13-year-old would say that's mid, maybe mid.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I'm not sure. I need that like equal. What does this word mean in teenage language these days? Or like a picture on Snap or something like that of a mouse. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about new ad formats. You hinted, and I think it was really insightful. You talked about brand building is more important than ever. Oh, guess what? Amazon has Prime Video ads that they're democratizing for smaller brands. So what ad formats are you seeing are being released and are most successful? Something that we're seeing at Pacvue is sponsored products is still king, but the percentage of ad spend is declining as people are investing more in other ad products like DSP and things like that. So what are you guys seeing on your side, especially any of the new ad formats that you're particularly excited about with early results?
I think in general, just to touch on general spend kind of levels, like I think sponsored products isn't shrinking. It's just not growing in relation to the other things. So that percentage of it is declining. Sponsored video is really, really big for us. I think we've seen that go well. And just in general, even sponsored brand video is still performing well. And it is still shocking to me, because this is like the third year in a row. Shockingly to me, video feels underpriced for the amount of real estate you get where it is. We still see like really, really great returns on that. And it's got this wonderful combination of brand building plus kind of lower funnel returns that is just amazing. The other things I would say, new stuff coming out, is really for us, it's the partnerships that Amazon's building. So we actually just sold our first WNBA package off the back of that, the NBA and WNBA. Yeah, which is really amazing for one of our partners. And it's a perfect fit. We are excited to kind of start leveraging Amazon as they go into live sports specifically. I feel like sports is one of those things that demand does not get replaced, right? Like, so if we think of like media and available inventory, inventory for print magazines, that demand is gone, or not gone, but it's very low. But live sports, that is irreplaceable inventory. It is really, really quite bulletproof, really quite future-proof.
And what about Matthew? So like as we head into video and these other formats, can you talk a little bit about the requirements needed for content? Like, are you able to create this content faster than ever before? Are you using any generative AI tools help you create content? Like how is that shifting?
Yeah, generative AI is an interesting one. There's kind of it's just that quick and dirty. And that's where you're using it mostly to generate like stock footage or stock images, but you don't have your product in it. Like that's the trick. Can I have a photoreal, fully accurate representation of my product generated by an AI? To do that really requires like either creating a digital double in something like Unreal 5 or training an AI, just feeding it a bunch of images so it can have your product from every single angle and fully recreate it virtually in that image. And that is a very custom process, and therefore it can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of money. So videos and images for generative AI are less of a dramatic leap forward, I think, at this point, because they still require a lot of customization. So you really want that to be part of a much larger campaign where you would use that for both your e-commerce marketing, but also just like everywhere you're doing digital marketing. You want to get that asset maximum mileage to really make it worth that investment. The other version where it's more stock footage or stock photography, those I think are more of a case by case basis where it makes sense to do it. For a really premium product, you don't really want to have stock photography. It undermines the product's value proposition, right? In terms of videos though, for e-commerce, it's really just still thinking about, can I communicate this where it's understandable without requiring subtitles or captions? A great example that we had is a little towel that was for cleaning off your pet size. And so they have a video of a little girl who's applying it to the dog. She pulls a clean one and she also wipes her cheek. And so that's telling us that this is a really mild cleaner that's safe for skin. It's safe for like around kids. And it didn't require any sort of text to communicate that. With generative AI, I think the biggest question is, can I get my product generated accurately? Because if I can't, then I'm going to get bad reviews. I'm going to get product returns. It's not going to be worth the effort.
There is one other thing I'd like to say about this, which just comes to product. And I haven't seen this come out, but this is like a wish list. Creative testing, specifically in Amazon DSP, and like having a product feed in. I compare this to Performance Max for Google. Our team, we actually have our own generative AI kind of tool. It's called Monks Flow. And we have some really cool case studies about this, where basically we use the AI to take that product image that Matthew said, and we train it. We train the heck out of it. And then all of a sudden it makes 200, 300 different types or different versions of an image, right? Like, where's the place? Where is it? How is it? Is it a clock? Is it a clock on furniture? Is it on a wall? Is it in the kitchen? Is it here? What's in the background? Is it the beach? Is it a forest? Our Monks AI connects to a Google feed and fed 200 different assets up into it. And if after everything was trained, it only took us about 12 hours to make 250, get them uploaded, and then let Performance Max kind of start testing all those creatives. I don't see that right now with Amazon DSP. And for us at Monks, we are, creative is one of the hearts, one of our big core competencies. And so if we could find a way to get that would be lovely.
It's almost time to start budgeting for 2025. First, you said that your retail media, you're planning for your customers across all the retailers, right? How are you thinking about your media mix for next year?
As far as retailers go for the mix, we're seeing, Amazon is still the lion, right? But we are kind of moving in this direction where by early next year, we expect at least 50% of our clients to have at least a second retailer. Our department, the commerce department, was originally Orca Pacific, and it was a full service Amazon agency. And as we've come into the Monks team, we have really expanded our expertise into all these different retailer platforms. And I think the market is reflecting that. One, retail media networks, everybody's kind of spinning their own one up, all these retailers. But two, customers are shopping where they prefer. Walmart.com is growing. It's going to continue to grow. So I think, if you look at as a percentage of spend for maybe a really big retailer, I'm thinking from retail media dollars, you're probably looking at between 70 and 75% Amazon. I think you're looking at probably 15% Walmart or so. And then the rest kind of divided between Target and some other ones. I think that mix obviously changes a bit if you're grocery. With actual product, I think we'll just continue to see video expand. And I think we'll continue to see upper funnel tactics expand, especially as, to quote you, Melissa, the democratization of video and upper funnel tactics continues to happen. Those small brands are going to be able to participate and try to build their brands at an earlier moment in kind of their brand life than they would have beforehand. So,
What about you, Matthew? From a content perspective, as you think about cross-retailer and adding more retailers to the mix?
Content and ads go hand in hand. And so we really think about anywhere you're spending money to bring traffic. Ads are ultimately a traffic driver, not a conversion driver. Content is supposed to lift your conversion rate. So anywhere that we're investing ads, whether it's by retail or ad type, like however we're spending it, we want the content that the users see when they land upon that page to be top notch. It really is kind of taking a follow step of where are we investing our strategy and our spend. Let's put our content focus there as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's wrap it up with some key takeaways. Here's what I got, and please add to my key takeaways. But number one, content is king. The pricing pressure, I think, is loud and clear that the manufacturers are facing their increased costs, and so they're having to raise their prices. Meanwhile, there's kind of the lower price, the lower ASP products that are kind of coming in. And so brand awareness and making sure that your brand and investing in the vehicles, advertising is going to help your brand awareness. And then the one also I thought was really interesting that you guys talk about is video, that it's not cheap, but it's relatively well priced for its benefit. What other key takeaways do you have?
I think it's very valuable to have a takeaway of from an adult in the room, right? Kind of from when you talk about AI, it's somebody has to be like, oh, okay, hold on, everybody, right? This is useful, but it is not a silver bullet. We still need people. AI for us is allowing our team to take on more intellectual thinking work and kind of automate away some of the drudgery to pick a word. I think the other one is just the idea that retailers are going to change. The mix is going to continue to diversify when it comes to retail media spend and the media mix. I think that's a really good talking point. Melissa, what are you guys seeing? Right? You guys have way more retailers and way more customers than us, from retail mix.
I think that we sit on top of over 100 retailers. So whether it's Amazon, Walmart, Target, Instacart, Kroger, and then through Criteo and Citrus. And now there's a whole new SSP ecosystem, which is Cody and Kebble. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that we're seeing is this kind of supplier side space take off as they provide more competition to the SSPs, let's say. And so that is going to drive more innovation with those guys. So I think that's, competition in my mind, and you have lots of competitors and so do we.
Of course.
Competition drives innovation. And so I think we'll continue to see innovation on the supplier side as they see more pressure from these new players coming in. I think that it's back to the competition. It is, as Amazon is the North Star, they have Amazon Marketing Cloud. The other retailers are going to catch up with their own cloud solutions. And so providing more data and insights to drive more helpful activations and optimization. So that's something else that we're seeing in the industry is that we will see these partnerships with Snowflake and Pacvue and others, that the retailers will be able to get their data to the brands, similar to how Amazon is doing it. But Amazon has such a better, they're so much further ahead. They have AWS, which nobody else has. Retail media, I think you can't just add another retailer network because there's just not that money there. And so there just has to be that innovation and the returns have to be there. And then the biggest thing that we're all focused on is incrementality. And that's not been solved in our ecosystem. We're working really closely with the IAB on their white paper that they're releasing this year. And we're our own solution around incrementality, but that one's really hard to solve. That one, to your point about AI and the silver bullet, no silver bullet, same in the incrementality space. And because this prevalence of retail media networks have exploded, now the brands have to say, okay, what's the incrementality of these retail media networks? And so these are the proof points that we need to come to the table with. And as you guys are assessing different retailers, part of it is sometimes there's efficiencies when a new retailer launches and CPCs are cheap. Those are examples we're bringing Chewy to market as a self-serve retail media platform. So for the pet space, the ability to look at, is it cheaper for me to advertise on Amazon or Chewy? I need to have both, but being able to understand how they can drive market share and efficiencies across these retailers.
I love what you said about incrementality. This is how it's kind of a litmus test for me when I'm talking to like newer brands or any brand. I'm like, how sophisticated are you, right? And the minute one of them asks me about incrementality, I'm like, okay, we got an operator here, right? Like, all right, now you guys know. And then my standard answer for incrementality is I'm always like, guys, if I had an answer, like a definitive answer for incrementality, we wouldn't be talking because I'd be on an island. I'm glad you just said AMC because that is something else I wanted to talk about in the product thing. It is actually like super helpful. And I think everybody is starting to use it. I think there is, I think from an agency perspective, a lot of them are still trying to figure out like how to price it. How do we price like you using it, right? Are we going to like try to upcharge it? Amazon's not. We've decided not to upcharge for it. It's just part of, if you're running DSP, like that is just part of how we are making your campaigns more efficient and more effective and better targeting. So that's how we're doing it. But I think as far as like product that's happening and trends that are going to continue into the next year, Amazon is now moving to make helpful, usable UIs based on top of AMC, right? Like Pacvue has a phenomenal UI that our team uses to get great insights. Amazon is starting to build that natively, right? At the first, the reason you guys have that is you understood AMC is very powerful when they brought it to market. And it was a SQL box. So it was basically unusable for 90%, 95% of brands, right? And now I think they're going to work on democratizing it. So that'll be really interesting. And I think we'll see more of the development AMC, but as AMC was super flashy and everything in 2023, they're not pushing it as hard right now. And ironically, it's more valuable.
Happy planning for holiday and continuing to support your clients. You guys are killing it. So excited to continue to partner with you guys and support each other in this, I always say it takes a village to do e-commerce. We're all part of this ecosystem of the village to help our customers be as successful as they can be. Thank you all for your time today and for your thought leadership. And I'm sure all your customers are benefiting from it.